Houston Texans head coach Bill O'Brien. How are you, Coach?
I'm doing fine, Rich. How you doing?
I know you're doing fine. 9 straight wins, 9 straight W's. What were you telling your team at 0-3, Coach?
We have real good guys, Rich. We have guys that work very hard, that understand their roles, and they understood early in the year that we hadn't coached our best, we hadn't played our best, but we were in a lot of close ball games. That if we could just continue to kind of trust the systems and trust what we were telling them as coaches, that we could turn it around with the bunch of guys we have here, and to give credit to the players, we've been able to do that.
And so were you relying on any specific unit, specific players that you pulled in? I'm just wondering if you did anything out of your routine, Coach, at 0-3.
We have good leadership. We have 6 captains: J.J. Watt, Jonathan Joseph, Brian Peters, Tyrann Mathieu, DeAndre Hopkins, and Deshaun Watson. And I rely on those guys. There's other guys in the locker room: Kareem Jackson, Nick Martin, guys that have been here for a long time. Ryan Griffin, our tight end. We have guys that have been around us for a while, and they know how we coach. We trust each other, and there were things that we talked about during the time when we were losing, and we felt like if we just kind of could change a couple things here relative to scheme and maybe individual technique, and keep trying to get better, that we would be okay. And our players have really hung in there.
Well, it's possible that you can nail down your division with a win against the Colts this weekend, Coach. And it's just interesting that the turnaround began in Indianapolis with that win in overtime, where you took advantage of an opportunity with Frank Reich trying to win the game rather than play for a tie. Were you surprised that he made that decision in overtime of that day in Indy?
No. I have great respect for Frank, and Frank is all about winning. He's going to do what he thinks is best for his team to win the game, and he made the decision to do that. And we were able to make a play, and that's just the way it goes in the NFL. It comes down to 1 or 2 plays, 3 plays in a game, and Frank does a great job. These guys present a big challenge to us, Rich. They have excellent players at many different positions, starting with Andrew Luck and T.Y. Hilton, and then defensively their rookie linebacker Darius Leonard's playing great. Geathers, their safety, Jabal Sheard up front. They've got really good players that present a big challenge to us, and we're really just trying to be as focused as we can on the Sunday game. That's the big challenge for us.
Well, I'm wondering if you could take us under the hood here about decision-making in moments like that in NFL games, 4th downs and yardage to go and time on the clock, as well as position on the field and analytics. We hear so much about, if you go for it here as opposed to punting, that's a 15% difference of winning. And do you know that sort of stuff off the top of your head, or have somebody who informs you of probabilities at the moment in the spur of the moment, Coach?
We definitely study and talk about that a lot during the week. We definitely have I personally have someone on game day that helps me with that. Really 2 people, one on the sideline and one up in the press box. But at the end of the day, Rich, it definitely, to me, comes down to how the game's being played. Like, for all the charts that you can look at, and I think they're important, I really do, charts are worth nothing if you go into the game and the game really isn't going the way you thought it was going to go. Maybe you thought it was going to be a defensive battle and it ended up being a shootout, or vice versa. And, in the end, you're always going to try to make the best decision for your team based on, like you said, field position. If you have a great play, you really feel good about the play you have. You know the defense they're going to be in, and you feel really good about how it's been executed during the week. There's just a lot that goes into it. A lot of it is instinct, and the charts don't have anything to do with instinct. I think the charts help you prepare, but at the end of the day, you've got to do your best when it comes to having a good feel for how the game's being played.
Texans head coach Bill O'Brien joining us here on a 9-game winning streak, heading into a big game against the Colts this Sunday at home on the Rich Eisen Show. And, man, you've had quite an emotional last 2 home games, a moment of silence for the founder of the Texans, who passed away, Bob McNair, and then one of his best friends in life, and I'm sure somebody you met many times as he went to a lot of Texans games, Coach, in the 41st President of the United States, George H.W. Bush. I'm wondering if you've got a great memory about either of these gentlemen, if not the two of them together with you.
Yeah, I have great memories of Bob McNair. We became, close as the years went on, and I really understood, especially after last season. We had a long talk at his home, about how he viewed the organization and how he wanted it to be a family-oriented organization, and that he cared about winning, but he really cared about treating people the right way and treating people with respect. I learned a lot about leadership from Bob McNair, Rich, and I'll always thank him for that. I'll always owe him for that. With President Bush, I was very fortunate when I first was hired here. Mr. McNair brought myself and my wife, Colleen, over to where his office was over here in Houston, and we were able to go out to lunch with him and meet him and, take a picture. And I was, I'm just a football coach. I was in complete awe of that whole situation. I mean, he told great stories that day about being the director of the CIA, about being vice president, you thought about his life, and what he did in his life. It was incredible. And to have, both those guys pass away within a week of each other, two Houston legends, is it's pretty incredible.
Yeah, I was fortunate to interview President Bush in Houston. It was our first NFL Network covered Super Bowl in Houston. It was the Patriots and the Carolina Panthers back in the day, and that at the time, the new building. And I was so nervous talking to him, and he put me at ease. He put me right at ease. The Secret Service everywhere, and Tagliabue was the commissioner at the time, was there, and Bob McNair was off to the side, and we got a whole crowd. Every executive in the NFL wanted to make sure everything was fine, and there's me and Poppy Bush on live television. It was nerve-wracking, but he put me right at ease. It was just awesome. It really was.
Great man. He had a great sense of humor and a great way about him, and he was very welcoming. I know J.J. Watt, he knows him, very, very well, and he always talked about his sense of humor and how easy he was to speak to and get to know.
J.J. Watt knows everybody, doesn't he? He knows everybody.
He does, man. He's a great player, great guy. He's had an opportunity to meet a lot of fantastic people.
Yeah, he's the most interesting man in the world, I think. I think he really might just be. Coach, this is absolutely not only because I am a human being and I care about other human beings, but also a full-on, straight-up concern over fantasy football. Deshaun Watson is my quarterback, and it looks like he's taken a lot of hits, Coach. He's taken a lot of hits. Are you concerned about that and his health, well-being here? Coach?
We're always concerned about the health of, every player.
Sure.
Obviously Deshaun, there are times when he's taken hits. I think it's been definitely less than what it was earlier in the season. I think some of it we can correct from a coaching standpoint, and some of it, is the way he plays, Rich. He enjoys running the football. He has great instinct about the game. He understands when to slide, when to duck out of bounds. But we're always talking about, hey, maybe that's one hit that you don't need to take. There's no doubt about that, and we'll continue to work with him on that, and he understands it.
Okay. I just announced with Jay Glazer that I'm working out at his Performance Center for my 40-yard dash this year, so I'm getting in shape. My lats are a little bit sore today. The reason why I mention is, do you know any transportation I can have to take me to and from work to make sure I'm fine? Do you know of any sort of four-wheel vehicle to do such a thing?
I don't know. I can't help you with that. I know that training with Jay Glazer is probably not always the best answer, though, because I think I think that might be a boxing gym or something.
No.
Isn't it Ultimate Fighting that he trains in or something?
No, it is. But he's getting me in shape. Just know this, and I know that you've got
push-up.
Yep, I know that you've got a playing season, you got a winning streak. But when you see my name move up your draft board come January, February, and March, just understand where it all started.
If you promise me that you'll run it without, but I don't think you can run it in your suit.
I have to, though.
You've got to take the suit off.
No.
I think you have to run it. Put some workout clothes on and get down in a stance and run it.
Nobody wants to see that, A, I don't think. And B, that's my uniform. You know what I'm saying? That's my uniform.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Hey, great chatting with you. We'll chat down the line, and good luck as you matriculate your way through your season.
Thank you, Rich. Always appreciate it. Thank you.
Right back at you. That's Bill OBrien, Texans head coach.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.